You're listening to the Served Up Show, a podcast that features inspiring beverage professionals and topic experts that share their passions through meaningful content. Your hostesses, Bridget Albert, is best known as the Market Fresh Mixologist, an industry mentor with over 25 years of experience. And I'm Julie Milroy, best known for my passion for leading change and helping others grow in their careers. Grab a cocktail and sit back. Let's learn how we can make a positive impact in our industry.
Hey y'all, it's Bridget here. Welcome to Served Up, your backstage pass to the vibrant world of beverages straight from the heart of Las Vegas. Recorded live at WSWA Access Live, we bring you exclusive insights and lively conversations with some of the industry's most influential voices. Join us as we deep dive into the art of science in beverages, exploring trends, innovations, and the stories behind your favorite drinks. From cocktails to spirits, Served Up is serving it all with a dash of style and a twist of sophistication. In each episode, we are joined by an exceptional lineup of guests, including an editor-in-chief, a seasoned beverage professional, the founder of a prestigious spirit competition, and CEOs and a spirit founder from beloved consumer brands. Together, they share their expertise, passion, and insider secrets, giving you a front row seat to the evolving world of drinks. Now, whether you are a connoisseur, an enthusiast, or simply curious about what's in your glass, Served Up is your go-to destination for all things beverage related. So sit back, relax, grab yourself your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Hey y'all, it's Bridget here. I'm thrilled to introduce our distinguished guest, Andy England, the CEO of Phillips Distilling Company. Andy stands as a true industry leader, bringing a wealth of experience and knowledge to the table. As the CEO of Phillips Distilling Company, he's at the forefront of a company known for its commitment to quality and innovation in the spirits industry. In our conversation, Andy generously shares professional tips, insights, and an overview of his delicious brand portfolio. Join us as we explore Andy's domain, uncovering the passion, dedication, and vision that drive Phillips Distilling Company. Get ready for an enlightening discussion that will leave you with a deeper appreciation for the expertise behind every sip. So sit back, relax, grab yourself your favorite Kimura cocktail, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Served Up the podcast. We are here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And let me tell you something, folks. We have a fascinating guest for you today here at WSWA Access Live. We have Andy England, the CEO of Phillips Distilling Company. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Thank you, Bridget. I'm delighted to be here.
We're delighted to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. We are thrilled to have you, Andy, and to share your story with our listeners. Can you let us know what your journey in the beverage alcohol industry has been? I know you, before Phillips Distilling, you were CMO at Miller's.
That's right. It's actually a much longer story than that. I don't know how long your podcast is, but I'm ready to go if you want to hear the whole story.
Go for it. We really want to hear it.
Okay. Well, so my very first job out of college, I worked for Cadbury Schweppes, who were in the chocolate and the soft drink business, and they transferred me out to the U.S. in 1988 to be an assistant brand manager on the Schweppes brand. So that was really, my first introduction to beverages, working on the Schweppes brand. And I learned all sorts of things, not the least of which being we were primarily distributed by Pepsi and Coke bottlers, so we were a really small part of their business. And the president of Cadbury Schweppes at that time used to say, we may only be 1% of their business, but our job's to get 2% of their attention. And so I learned a lot about being a small player in a big bottler in that case, but, bottler, distributor. And I was with that company for quite a long period of time. I went from being an assistant brand manager all the way to being a vice president over about a 10-year period as the business grew, because Cadbury Schweppes pretty much bought everything that wasn't nailed down by Coke or Pepsi. They bought, Crush International and A&W and Dr. Pepper 7-Up and all the rest of it. And we transferred down to Dallas. And I was running the flavors business down there. So I learned a whole ton about the soft drink business and early in my career, which in many ways runs through a similar, but not in the same way, regulated 3-tier system. I then did a number of other things. I ran the cracker business at Nabisco for a couple of years, which was fun. I learned a lot more about trade and retail that I didn't understand. I then went to be head of marketing and product development at what was then an early stage startup called Open Table, which you may use today.
Yeah. I use it all
but back
the time.
then it was, we were in 20 restaurants and it was all pretty shaky. So that was fun. Obviously, I learned a ton about digital. From there, I went to Hershey. I ran the Reese's business, where we launched originally as limited editions. We launched white chocolate Reese's, dark chocolate Reese's. We launched big cup Reese's, honey roasted Reese's, many of which are still around today. And we launched them all in 2003 as limited editions at that time. So that was fun. I ran their snacks division, so learned a ton about, innovation there as we launched a bunch of different products. And if you know Hershey today, they're in a lot of, adjacent snack categories now. That was the beginning of that. And then ran marketing and strategy for their international division for a very short period until I was whipped up to go be the CMO of Coors. So I went out to Denver, Colorado, and ran Coors, I was the CMO of Coors, and I did that for 2.5 years before we merged with Miller and became Miller Coors, and did that for another 7 years. So obviously 9.5, 10 years in the beer business. So that's when I really began to understand the regulatory environment, the 3-tier system. Had a whole lot of fun, turning around Coors Banquet, which had declined forever. We took a 20-year decline and then turned it into, frankly, 20 years of growth, which has been terrific. Took Coors Light from being the number 4 to the number 2 player in the category, and took Blue Moon to be the number 1 craft player. Launched Red's Apple Ale. So I had a whole ton of fun and all that stuff. I then left there and ran National Cinemedia, which is a publicly traded media company. Ran that business for 3 years. Learned a lot about being a CEO. Learned a lot about what it means to sit in that seat. And then after I left National Cinemedia, I got hired in August of 2020 to be the CEO of Phillips Distilling Company in Princeton, Minnesota. And that's my story.
That's
wow.
Fascinating. So this is your...
When you've got that long a career, it's sort of, how do you condense that? But that's the basis.
You did a really great job of doing that.
Yeah, you really did.
I could see that diversity of all the different fields, from beverage to food, and then, beer, and now spirits.
You learn something from every situation, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Your career has been absolutely fascinating. Can you take us behind the scenes, what your day-to-day looks like?
In my current role?
Yeah.
Well, every day's a bit different, which is part of the reason I enjoy it. And I think, there's a sports quote I always love. The great one, Wayne Gretzky, talked about, what it took to be a great hockey player. He talked about, good hockey players skate to where the puck is. Great hockey players skate to where it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And I always think that's just a wonderful analogy for, business, right? Because what you need to do is you need to skate to where the puck is going to be. Mm-hmm. So, I look at my role as being, making sure we have the right brands, the right distributor network, the right people to help us skate to where the industry is going. So it starts with having a point of view on where the industry is going, and then you have to tool the company around that. And so in some ways, every day is focused on some aspect of determining where the puck's going to be and trying to skate us there. And so you can imagine every day is a little bit different as a result of that. Sometimes it's more focused on the portfolio or people or distributors or whatever it is. But, you're constantly solving problems that can get in the way of you skating to where you need to be.
Mm-hmm. That's a really great analogy. And somebody that's in marketing, I love to see CEOs that have strong marketing backgrounds. It's really nice to see. And, I did read an article, I think a recent article that you did in Just Drinks magazine. And you said, and I love this, there's no such thing as a tired brand, just a tired brand manager. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I think that's true. I think it's good to rotate, people, because what tends to happen is, when you take over a brand, and you see this as lots of big companies, when you take over a brand, you attack it with, lots of inquisition and curiosity, and you form a point of view as to where this brand needs to go. And then you drive it there, and if it works, that's great. If it doesn't work, okay. But you typically do your most inventive work relatively early in your stewardship, right? And so that's why you run out of ideas and get tired. And so, it's a little bit like running a relay race. It's helpful to hand over the baton to somebody who's also thoughtful, critical, experienced, and can take the brand to the next level, right? So that's hence that quote.
Like it.
That's great. And just speaking about brands and brand stories, right? So each brand has a story.
Yeah.
How do your brands really stand out in such a competitive market?
That's a great question, Bridget. And it's the question we ask ourselves every day, right? And I would say that the key is you've got to think about where the consumer's going. Mm-hmm. And some of those cues are obvious. I mean, firstly, I've got two kids who are 23 and 21. So, their interests in the alcohol business are a little different to mine, and where they want to go is different. So sometimes it's, literally just seeing what they and their friends are up to. Sometimes it's looking at, overall trends. I mean, you don't have to be a demographer to know that the Hispanic population of the U.S. is growing, and there's going to be more and more Latino influence. What's that gonna do? Well, if you're going to have a lot more Mexican influence in the U.S., there's probably going to be more tequila. Check. People are probably going to drink more Mexican beer. Check. So right there, you can see trends, and so I think being curious about where the consumer is going to go is critical. So, for example, I'll talk about some of our brands. I can talk about our brands all day.
Please
so
do.
I'll talk about a few of our brands, if I may. So if you look at Camorra, for example, Camorra coffee liqueur. We love this brand, right? Obviously espresso martinis are doing well, and that's good for Camorra. But Camorra is made from real Mexican coffee. It has a wonderful sort of dark roast profile. I would argue it is significantly superior as a product to other competitors you may be aware of. And it's also pretty affordable. So that's a great place to be. If you're selling to on-premise, and they're selling espresso martinis, they're not telling you what the brand of coffee liqueur is they're using. They're going to get a better product and better margins by using Camorra. And consumers discover that at retail as well. So I think Camorra has a wonderful, Mexican heritage, and that's leading to some innovation for Camorra that I'll come back to. Meanwhile, LaRue. What is LaRue famous for? Well, first off, half of LaRue's business is Polish blackberry brandy, which is not a segment I was necessarily familiar with before I joined Phillips. I will tell you that. But Polish blackberry brandy is extraordinarily popular with a certain group of consumers, and understanding what they're about and what they love about it is critical. But LaRue also has a full range of liqueurs and cordials, and obviously keeping that range refreshed is critical, because consumers are changing their mind on what their favorite cocktail is every day.
You're right.
And there are people out there coming up with great new ideas. So we have to, it's not just about having a triple sec and a blue curacao. It's about what else do you need in order to serve the needs of on-premise and people who are doing home premise, as they call it, right? So that's where LaRue is. Prairie's about organic, right? Prairie organic vodka, Prairie organic gin. I think if you look at the benefits of organic, it's made purely from organic corn, which is all grown in the upper Midwest, using no pesticides and all the things that go into growing organic corn. And Prairie really is a pioneer in that space. And so, if you want to, if organic's important to you as a consumer, Prairie is the brand for you. That's what we lead with. If you talk about UV, UV's famous not just for being a vodka, it's famous for color. And again, if you think about cocktails and the kind of cocktails that people like, color's big. People want to express themselves through the cocktails they make, and UV gives you color. UV's always been famous for color, and it starts with blue. UV blue is the biggest part of that franchise, but we have got the whole rainbow of colors behind UV, which is terrific. I think Trader Vic's. Vic Bergeron, who Trader Vic that was his nickname, he invented the Mai Tai. So let's start there. Obviously, Trader Vic's got great rums. It's got great cordials. We have great white chocolate and regular chocolate cordials, and so macadamia nut. It really makes you feel like you're in the Caribbean or Hawaii, right?
Getting thirsty,
right?
Yeah, me too.
You've got that whole image to it. What have I missed? Revelstoke? I didn't even talk about Revelstoke. And Revelstoke is just trying to be outrageous. We have great products, but we want to be outrageous. So why wouldn't Revelstoke launch S'moregasm, the best s'mores whiskey in the world, right? It's all about sort of outrage and trying to appeal to that, incoming whiskey drinker. And then, of course, by the way, the Phillips brand. Yeah. Phillips brand is just, it's about the Midwest. Mm-hmm. If you're in the Midwest, you got to drink Phillips. It's the law.
Yeah, it is.
So we have other brands too, but that's like
I love that you guys are the champions of the Midwest.
Right. Yes. Each one of our brands is trying to carve out a position in what's a crowded marketplace, and we're constantly looking to evolve to skate to where the puck's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that each brand is really focused on, that you guys are really diving into that specific opportunity for that brand instead of trying to appeal to a big category. So obviously innovation is super key. I think some of our biggest spirit suppliers rely on innovation each year to meet their targets. Yeah. What are some of the innovation projects that you have going on that you can share with us?
Well, I would say the two big things we have going on right now, we just launched Camorra Dulce de Leche, right? Which is, so if you think about the Latin influence of Camorra, the Mexican coffee that is made with, it has a Latin core. Dulce de leche is really more of an Argentinian flavor by heritage, but it seems to fit, I think, because of that sort of Latin feel. It fits what Camorra is all about. It so happens our head of R&D is from Argentina. He grew up in the suburbs of Buenos Aires. He's got a PhD in food science. Wonderful guy, Carlos, and he and his team, have created a delicious alcoholic variant of dulce de leche that has just a touch of tequila in it, which adds, again, that little Latin flair to it. So that is delicious. It's a cream-based product. It's absolutely fabulous. It's
sounds,
and so that we're pretty focused on building that out right now. And then meanwhile, LaRue has a new product coming out. Really, I was going to say next month. Are we February yet? No, it's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
But it's coming out tomorrow, I guess. But it's coming out next month. LaRue is launching a watermelon flavor. And I think, we're excited about watermelon because it's a growing flavor, particularly if you look down in Texas with Mexican candy shots, but also, watermelon enables a wonderful watermelon margarita. So if you're bored with your regular margarita, just a splash of LaRue watermelon is going to take it to a different place. It's really delicious. So those happen to be the two top of mind things. We're working on all sorts of other things, as you might imagine. We're looking very hard at what's going on with ready to drinks, as everybody else is, as you might imagine. We're actually going to launch into test market later this year. In parts of Florida, we're going to launch Sourpuss. What is Sourpuss, you may ask? Sourpuss is the largest brand of so it's the largest brand we have in Canada to start with.
Okay.
But it's a sour schnapps. And by far and away, the largest flavor is raspberry. So raspberry Sourpuss is the lead horse. We're going to launch it in parts of Florida. In Gainesville, we're going to really target in on because those legal drinking age young adults love Sourpuss. And it's over 100,000 cases in Canada. And by the way, I always do the math on Canada that it's about 10% of the population of the U.S. So if Sourpuss was as successful in the U.S. as it is in Canada, we'll be selling 1 million cases. So that's the objective.
How do you serve it? Is it a ready to drink or is it a...
You can use it in certain cocktails, but people tend to shoot it.
Oh, it's...
And it's relatively low ABV, so before anyone gets too terrified of that, I think, off the top of my head, I think it's 15% ABV.
Okay.
And so it's not, it's not going to drive you crazy, but it is delicious. And yes, it's one of those sour experiences where when you taste it, there'll be that, oh, that's that, and then it turns to sweetness after that. So it goes from not even pain to pleasure, but shock to pleasure, perhaps. It's delicious.
We'll have to get some.
Yeah, we
get
will.
some to market.
Do like a little cheeky of it, just a little shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have none with me right now, I'm afraid, but we can fix it.
Yeah, I would love that. As a leader in the industry, can you give some advice to those who are listening and really want to progress in their career.
Yeah. No, I think somebody told me one time that, when people look at the CEO or they look at senior people in an organization, they often think that person can solve their problems. And I would suggest to you that looking at your career the other way around and saying, how do I solve that person's problems? Because, usually if you're a CEO, you've got nothing but problems on your desk, right? I've got to fix this, I've got to fix that. And if I'm going to skate to where the puck's going to be, I've got to do all these things in a way, how do I fix them? If you establish yourself as one of those people who's able to fix problems for the CEO or for other people, and go looking for that, don't go looking for the easy gig where, hey, that's growing, I'm going to go run that. Go looking for the hard gig where, there's a problem that needs to be solved. And if you're someone who gets a reputation for solving problems, you're going to have a fabulous career.
That is really great advice. Thank you.
I love that.
I love that too.
We're solving problems every day, that's for sure. So that's, on the topic of problems, you started as CEO of Phillips Distilling Company during COVID.
Yep.
And so I'm sure you had all the problems in the world that you've overcome. So what is a challenge that you're faced that you've had to overcome? And
yeah, I think that's a few things. So I joined 3.5 years ago. And if you look at what I've been focused on, I would say that there are some portfolios that are just working. I mean, if all you're selling today is tequila, you're probably doing pretty well because there's kind of a tailwind behind tequila, right? So a former boss of mine used to talk about on-trend portfolios and off-trend portfolios. And you want to architect a portfolio that's on-trend, right? That's leading towards where the consumer's going. And so part of, my role and part of what I've been looking to solve is to get to more of an on-trend portfolio. LaRue and Kimura we bought in December of 21 from a larger supplier. They were selling them. We thought they were a perfect fit for us. We like liqueurs and cordials. We think we're very good at them. We're great at flavor development. We're great at shorter runs. Really fitted, what we like to do. So purchasing LaRue and Kimura has helped get our portfolio on track to be more on trend. And we want to continue to do that, both through innovation and acquisition, etc., right? I think from a distributor point of view, I inherited a fragmented distributor network. And one of the things that we did was consolidate primarily with the Southern. We became a national partner of Southern, which has gone, very well for us. We're very proud and pleased with that alliance. So that's been critical. And it makes it much easier because Southern's got systems they like to work through. And by the way, we didn't have great systems. So when we first met with the Southern team, we said, hey, look, we want to do things the way you do them. We're not going to try and tell Southern to do things the Phillips way. We as Phillips want to learn the way that Southern does them, and we want to do things that way, such that we adapt best to what it is that you do. And I think that's sort of been very effective for us. So those are certainly a couple of the key problems we've been focused on solving. If you look at the problem going forward, as it is for everybody, it's always about growth, right? It's all about growth. How do we grow? And by the way, if we are growing, how do we grow faster? Right? That's what everyone's trying to solve for. So that is, the ongoing equation. And one of the beauties of being at WSWA is you walk away with ideas. You don't necessarily walk away with the answer, but you walk away with ideas that you can chew over and figure out, how do I incorporate that idea into what I'm doing? And it's not just, some of the great product ideas that are out there, which is certainly the case. It's from meeting with distributors and hearing what they're struggling with and hearing what they like about what you're doing. You walk away with, okay, all right, so this is clearly working for them. We need to double down on that. And how do we stop doing that? That's an irritant or not helpful to them. And how do we do things different ways? So, that's a big part of growth, whether it's figuring out how to better work with distributors better, move your portfolio forward. Those are the things I focus my time on.
Well, yeah, we appreciate that answer very much. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I think we could talk forever, but I know you're a busy man running this big companies, and that brings us to the end of our interview. We really appreciate you sharing your journey and your insights with us. So
well,
thank
you're
you.
very welcome, Julian, and as you are, Bridget. It was great spending time with you. I enjoyed it.
Well, cheers to you. Back.
Cheers to you both.
Yes.
Thanks for listening. Served Up is brought to you by Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits. Produced by Zunu.online. Music by We Killed the Lion can be found on Spotify. Make sure to subscribe to be notified of future Served Up episodes. Cheers!